Alright, I'm going to run very quickly through the whiteboard because I'm sure you guys went over it together. But when you're multiplying like bases, you add 4m to the 7th. Anything to the 0 power is 1. And when you have negative powers, that means put it on bottom. So k to the 5th over x to the 8th, k to the 2nd. And that will reduce down to k to the 3rd over x to the 8th. Moving on to the meat of things. Ready, set, go. Alright, I know I said there was no adding and subtracting, but with equations, it's not really adding and subtracting because you're not really performing the operation. You're going to do the same thing that you've been doing. Find that least common denominator. So with this group, this and that have an x, so that's for sure going to be part of my least common denominator. That 5 has to be part of it, and that x plus 2 has to also be part of it. So 5x times x plus 2, we're going to multiply that by each part, each term. So 1 over x is going to be multiplied by 5x times x plus 2. And even the one on the other side is going to be multiplied by 5x times x plus 2. Alright, now we get to cancel. So x plus 2 and x plus 2, that x and that x, that 5x and that 5x. And then we write down what we have left. So we have a 5x times 3, which is a 15x, minus 5 times x plus 2 equals, we just have an x plus 2 left on that side. So if we distribute our negative 5, we get 15x minus 5x minus 10 equals x plus 2. Combining like terms and getting my x's to one side. 9x minus 10 equals 2. Getting my x by itself, you get 9x equals 12. If we divide by 9 on both sides, you are going to get x equals 4/3, reducing that fraction. I know I'm going very fast. So if you need to, go back, watch it again, listen more slowly, whatever you need to do. Alright, next one. Same deal. Your first step is to find that least common denominator. I've got a 2 and a 3 and an 18 for regular old numbers, so my least common denominator with the number part is 18. I also have an x and an x in common, so x will be also part of that. So I'm going to multiply each piece by 18x. Now it's time to cancel. So this x and that x will go away. This x and that x will go away. That 18 and that 18 will go away. Now all I have to do is multiply out and simplify. So if I do 18 times 5, that will give me 90. Divided by 2 will give me 45. So that was me doing this part right here. 18 times 5 divided by 2 plus 18 times 4, which is 72, divided by 3 is 24. So 18 times 4 divided by 3 is 24. Equals, I just have a 7x left on that side. 45 plus 24 will give me a whopping 69 equals 7x. Divide by 7 on both sides, you get x equals 69 sevenths. Can't reduce that anymore, so there's your answer. Alright, here's the last one. If you are feeling really confident and really good, you can skip this one. I highly advise that you still watch through it though, because it has kind of this weird stuff on the bottom that you might want to see. Okay, so finding the least common denominator, that's the part that's going to change a little bit with that weird stuff on the bottom. If I factor this out, just to see what it looks like a little bit more on the bottom here, I could take out a q, leaves me with a q minus 2. And I would do the same thing here. Alright, so now if you notice, my least common denominator isn't going to be q times q squared plus 2q, because I already have a q in each of those. So I only have to have that q once, and q minus 2 also. Alright? So, I'm going to multiply by that for each term. So 1 over q, and multiply that by q times q minus 2, plus q times q minus 2 times this term there, q times q minus 2, I'm going to keep it in its factored form on the bottom there, equals 3q plus 6 over q times q minus 2 times that q times q minus 2. Alright, so now I get to cancel q and q, q times q minus 2, and q times q minus 2, and the same thing there. So if I write out what I have left, I have a q minus 2 times 1, which is just itself. I have a 10q minus 6, notice the addition in the middle there, equals 3q plus 6. Alright. Now all I have to do is combine like terms and solve. You've seen it before. So I've got a positive q and a positive 10q. So that's going to be 11q. I've got a negative 2 and a negative 6. So negative 8 equals 3q plus 6. I'm going to subtract my 3q to get all my q's on one side. 11, 10, 9, 8q minus 8 equals 6. Add 8, add 8. 6 and 8 makes 14. Divide by that 8 to get rid of it. You get q equals 14/8. And if you reduce that down, you can divide by 2 on each of those, 7/4. Alright, now I want to talk review stuff. So, this would be really important stuff to put on there, but don't just write down what I have written on your note card. This is good stuff to have on your note card, but if you just write down what I have written without putting it in your own words, it's not going to help you. It's only going to help you if you truly understand what you're writing down, and you write down examples with it, and things that'll help you remember what all this means. Okay? So, need to know. You need to know how to simplify, first of all. That is a part of each one of these other parts. First, you factor, because you want to be able to see what can cancel. Alright? Don't forget to look at the coefficients, the numbers, and simplify them like fractions. So like if it was 18/4, how would you simplify that fraction, even if there was an x or a y or any variable in front of it? How would you simplify that fraction? Okay? So if I were to walk through that, divide by 2, 9x, 2y. Alright? Do not cancel over addition. Most important rule. If you have a case of the oversimplifiers, you need to come see me before you do the exam. Come see me early Monday, sometime before your exam, so that we can talk about how to fix that. Okay? Next thing you need to know how. Multiplying, dividing. Those are the operations that you need to know how to do. Okay? Factor them out so you can see what can cancel, because canceling is the most fun. Okay? So you multiply straight across looking for that canceling. And remember that division is very, very simple if you know how to multiply. You multiply by the reciprocal. Alright, solving. You need to know how to solve with and without addition and subtraction. So an example of one with is the last couple slides that we've been going with. So let's see, what was one of those? Real quick that I can pull up for you. The one with the q's. So 1 over q plus 10q minus 6 over q squared minus 2q equals 3q plus 6 over q squared minus 2q. So if you look, this has addition within the solving, within the equation because it's got an equals. Alright? That's why I put factor as your number 1, because then you can see, like you saw in the last problem, that this really, your least common denominator, isn't as hard as you think it is. Alright? Multiply by that least common denominator and solve for x. Alright? An example of one without would just be one of those proportion ones that you did on your homework the other night. So like 1 over x equals 3 over 2x. And figuring out how to solve that. Maybe 2x squared. No, we'll just make it x. Okay? So something like that would be an example of without. Okay? Now, I'm going to put up a video going over the review assignment. You need to watch it. If you are going to watch any review video, watch this one. It's over a weekend, and I don't want you guys to forget about this stuff. It's really, really, really important. Alright? So, have an awesome weekend. Have a math-filled weekend. But also enjoy yourself. And I will see you guys on Monday. Alright, bye-bye.